Take you now to Govan Whittles, who was at the launch and joins me now. So, Govan, this report, does it give us a sense of the full extent of sexual offences in the military? Because we've been focusing largely on reports coming from members of the military deployed outside the country in countries like the DRC, but it seems the problem is much more widespread than we've been able to focus on in the country.
Yeah, particularly internally to Nosiviwe, and that's where this report of August 2018 comes from, and that's really what triggered the minister's decision to appoint this task team. And the report highlights a couple of areas. It suggests that Cape Town leads in the country in terms of having the highest number of recorded sexual exploitation and abuse, and after that is Pretoria, and thereafter is Bloemfontein. And these are the three provinces or cities where they believe the biggest problems are with regards to the extent of sexual exploitation and abuse. And it takes many forms to Nosiviwe, and it goes from juniors being coerced or forced, the minister says, to do sexual favors for their superiors, and in other cases it goes on to include the actual harassment and abuse of junior people. And she hopes that the task team will be able to get the cooperation from the senior ranks of the military in trying to establish the veracity of the claims, particularly by these juniors and by the reserves, who the minister says are often asked to do sexual favors in order to get a call-up into active service. And she confirmed that the task team did this morning address the Military Command Council, and that the council has given their undertaking to fully support the work of the task team. But what's happening here, to Nosiviwe, is a review of the cases that have already been heard by the military courts and the complaints that have been made where they have not been taken further because of insufficient evidence or people being unwilling to testify. And at the end of this review, this task team will be instructed to give recommendations to the minister on how the military discipline bill can be amended. That bill is currently before Parliament, and some of the problems here relate to how sexual abuse or exploitation is phrased within the military doctrine, referred to as conduct unbecoming of a member of the SANDF. But of course there are broader implications here, and one of the places where people who are victims of sexual exploitation or abuse go to after the incident happens for some help is of course their union. And I'm joined now by the National Secretary of the South African National Defence Union, Pakkie Greef. Pakkie, thank you so much for your time. Firstly, what do you think of the minister's decision to set up this task team to look into these allegations and cases of abuse and exploitation?
Well, from the union's point of view, we think it's long overdue, that the department takes a good hard look at itself and protect those who fall victim to this kind of harassment and rid the Defence Force from this kind of thing.
Okay, so this panel is external and it's largely a review, but do you think that they would be able to uncover some of the things the minister hopes they would, given their limited terms of reference and powers?
Well, of course we would hope that such a process would have a positive ending. Whether it is going to happen remains to be seen. These kinds of conduct is very difficult to investigate because victims are afraid to come forward. They would obviously want to know what kind of protection they're going to enjoy if they would speak to this body that's been implemented and so on, So it remains to be seen, really.
And what have your members who've come to you after cases of sexual abuse or exploitation been saying about what they experience in the SANDF?
It is, as the minister says, it's very often seniors that exploit juniors with promises of promotion and that kind of thing and deployment, etc. So that really is a problem, and of course that is exploitation. But the common thing that we've seen from our members who come to complain to us is the fact that they mostly want to remain anonymous. Now, it's extremely difficult to get rid of this kind of thing if people who fall victim also don't want to come out, and they want to remain anonymous. Then it's just like a circle that keeps going around in the same circle, and that's really not helpful. So those people are going to want to feel during this process, and thereafter hopefully something will be in place where they won't be afraid to come forward and expose.
Lastly, what do you hope the task team will achieve?
Well, we hope that after this task team's work is done, there would be some set of rules, policy, maybe even a bill amendment that could basically speak specifically about sexual harassment, how it will be dealt with, what kind of protection a victim or a complainant would have in case of sexual cases, and how would the role players be treated in the department. For instance, will there be compulsory and immediately splitting up of the complainant, from the person that they're accusing? There aren't that kind of rules and procedures in place in the Defence Force now.
Thank you so much. That's Pikkie Greef, the National Secretary of the South African National Defence Union. And Nosiviwe, the task team has about 3 months to complete their work, though the Minister says they are open to extending those time frames. So now it's back to you.
All right, ENCA's Govan Whittles live for us in Pretoria.